Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this lovely afternoon before Easter holiday. We do have a few people that I wanted to make sure we took a moment to introduce. We have Alexis Wrigley. Alexis, if you wanted to say hello and introduce yourself for a moment.
Yes, I should unmute myself. This also might help. I have to unmute myself and get the microphone. Hi, guys. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in this meeting today.
And can you tell them what department you're in and why they might need to know who you are?
Absolutely. So I am the administrator for the executive team. So I'll be working with the Board of Trustees. So if you have any questions or have any concerns about the Board of Trustees or anything involving them, that would go to me.
Okay, thank you. And we have Stephen Forrester. Stephen, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure, I can do that. Hello, everybody. Good to meet y'all. I'm Steve Forrester. I am the new Director of IT. So I'll be here for any of your issues or questions.
Okay. And Kayla, did we introduce you last time?
I don't believe so.
Okay, then why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Kayla Lukes. I joined the Teams department for PA Med at the end of February. Currently the county coordinator for the counties we serve Blair, Bucks, Dauphin, Erie, and Washington.
Thank you, Kayla. And I'm looking, we have quite a few people today. I'm looking through our list. Is there anybody else that is new that I have missed and need to have an introduction? Okay. Thank you so much. So we will go right ahead into our agenda. Maybe that'll allow us to end a few moments early and let everybody get off to their Easter holidays. Our first subject today is an HOD update. And so we have both Dr. Pagan and Dr. Hertzberg with us today. So Dr. Pagan, I will let you go right ahead.
Sure, thanks so much. I hope I'm coming in clearly, and I have low bandwidth, so forgive the lack of video. But yes, we've been working hard since the last time we talked and since the last House of Delegates planning this hybrid meeting in Hershey. The website is up and going, and as many of you know, the resolution portal is open now as well. Just generally, the way the weekend is shaping up is Friday afternoon, late afternoon, there will be a CME activity. Later in the evening, there will be the receptions for PAMPAC and PA Med, very similar to the social. Well, there'll be a remote component to that, as well as, of course, the in-house or Hershey reception going on as well. Saturday morning, we'll open with a community breakfast where everybody will be able to mingle. As you know, that was one of the biggest common points that we've had from the prior COVID mandated HODs, which were remote, the inability to interact there. So again, on Friday night, as well as on Saturday morning, there is ability to mingle and engage. If a county or a section or something feels very, very strongly that they don't want to be part of the community and wants a separate area to meet by themselves, that can be arranged. And I don't know if Ed Brown is on this conference there, but I believe, Claire, that's who they would go through if they wanted to make that separate arrangement. Is that correct?
Allison is, I'm not sure. Allison, is that correct?
I guess, yeah. I mean, you let Allison know and she'll get you to the right place as well. So there. The House will be, again, a hybrid format. And one of the biggest challenges that we're working through, and Dr. Hertzberg and I are confident we'll be able to do that, is maintain the fairness so that if you're remote, you don't have an advantage over somebody that's live. And likewise, somebody that's live on site doesn't have an advantage over somebody that's remote. So maintaining that balance over the two mediums, at least parliamentary-wise, is one of the biggest challenges we're assuring that comes through. The House will be very similar to last year's House. Again, preparation was the key to success in both the last 2 years, and will be again. The reference committees will be meeting in advance of the House. There'll be the draft report from the reference committee, then the second or the final report coming into the House that everybody will have approximately 5 to 6 days before the House opens there. Voting will be, again, with Election Buddy that has worked successfully, both live when we were on site as well as remotely in the last 2 years as well. We are targeting about a 3 p.m. Adjournment, very similar to last year as well, and overall structure with that. Saturday night, again, we're planning an adjournment at that time. There is a possibility for election runoffs, but again, those will be done remotely thereafter. So I'll pause there. I'll let Dr. Hertzberg fill in anything I may have forgotten. And also, we both certainly welcome your questions too.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Pagan. The only thing I can think to add is I know that I've heard some low rumblings about some of the caucuses thinking about either having some or even all of their delegation remote, but in a common room, like at an HQ offsite. We're aware that that's something that's being considered, and we're working through that to try to facilitate you doing that if that's something you do choose to do.
Great point. And yeah, I think that there were some delegations that actually did that last year. The thing to keep in mind with that remote location, wherever you choose, is to make sure that your Wi-Fi and your bandwidth are adequate at that location so that everybody, you know, so that will be out of our control, obviously, if it's a low bandwidth offsite location. So keep that in mind if that is being contemplated.
Hey, Dr. Pagan, we have a good question here. I can't see who it's from, but the question was, will there only be one reference committee? If you want me to tackle it, I can, or you could tackle it.
We are planning, it worked very, very well last year where we had the kind of a mega reference committee that had subcommittees to deal with the various partitions of topics. And that is, again, is the plan for this year.
Yeah.
And I
some of
assume that's what you were going to say.
Yes. Well, some of that's also, I always I'm a little cautious, and I want to reserve the right to create a second reference committee if for instance, the volume was excessive. But the process, the reference committee process should be seamless, whether it's one committee or more. And we're gonna try to build on last year's success, because generally the feedback was that it worked fairly well. Other questions?
Great. Well, you know, again, the lines of communication are always open. If there are other thoughts or other questions after this meeting that you have or suggestions, certainly Allison knows how to get a hold of us any place, anytime, and will. She's a wealth of information and probably can answer most questions, but if she can't, she can get us. And yeah, we're excited that this is a new step. Certainly some new challenges building on last year. But we're confident that once again, PA Med will kind of lead the way in organized medicine and in doing it the right way.
n- no other, I
Well,
wanted much more time for this. No other questions or
So there's
or
a- there's a-
discussions?
Dave McKeegan asked if there's any announced candidates for vice president. I don't.
That is a great question. And Allison, do you know of anybody that's declared?
Officially, anyone who officially announced anything?
Not that I have seen. I'm just looking at our dates to see when that online nomination submission will open. And so that's going to open June 3rd.
Right.
But I haven't heard anyone declare yet.
Right. I think what Dave is referring to is sometimes we know almost a year in advance that at the close of the prior House or sometime thereafter, some people officially circulate their name. And I guess the answer to Dave and to everyone is no, we have not heard of any candidates as of yet officially.
All right. Any questions at all?
I guess it's hi. I'm thinking like we're just going to have one large reference committee room that we're going to talk about things after the House on Saturday.
No, so last year, what you might recall, we did the reference committee several weeks in advance, and there were 2 rounds of reference committee reports. What that did is it eliminated the stay up to 3 o'clock in the morning, generate the report, not have enough time to digest it the next morning. So we're planning on doing something very similar, if not identical, where we have several rounds of reference committee reports coming out with plenty of time for the caucuses and delegations to process it, so that when we get together on Saturday, everyone's got their homework and positions done and whatever else needs to be done.
So there will be no live debate.
It'll be
Well, just like last year. And again, note some of the critical successes that we've learned through this is that the advanced preparation for the reference committee had allowed the reference committee to much better process the information and all the delegates to also do that. There will be that written opportunity for both rounds, and there'll also be with the second round the opportunity for verbal testimony as well. I think that's probably your question, but no, and I think it's important now, and I'm glad you asked the question, that we, the expectations, this is not going to be, because of the hybrid format and the advanced preparation, it's not going to be like the House of Delegates of years gone by, where so many things were crammed in all at once. This is, again, going to have the advanced preparation and the testimony written and verbally coming forward.
So there will be there will be live RefCom testimony, but it will be virtual, and there will be on-site debate should the House so choose during the actual HOD.
Again, very, very similar, and as Dr. Herkmer said, it's not identical to last year.
Right.
The only
Pagan,
difference is that some people will be on site and some people will be remote.
So, so there was another good question that I did type in the message to, but I'm going to read it in case those aren't looking. The question was, how will the reference committee members be chosen? And I responded that the speakers select the reference committee members, and we're always looking for a diverse group of physicians to serve. So if there are if there are interested individuals, please do have them step forward and let Allison know they're interested in serving.
That's exactly right, because predominantly that reference committee is composed of the volunteers that have identified themselves either in the survey at the conclusion of last House or thereafter. Now, what we do need to do is make sure we balance it, that, geography, specialties, sections, is like that. So if there's a lot of volunteers from one section, not everybody will get that. But we do predominantly go by who has self-identified and what topics of interest they have. So we make sure, again, everything's balanced. And if we do break into several committees or subcommittees, that those subcommittees are also balanced.
Dr. Lucas, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. I had to step away, so I missed some of the discussion earlier on, but I overheard that we are adjourning on Saturday. Does that mean that there'll be no afternoon activities, social gatherings, awards, things of that nature?
Correct. So Saturday, and again, we're tentatively targeting an adjournment of about 3 p.m. Again, it's partly the will of the House and how late that goes. But no, the ceremonial and the other functions are now partitioned and done separately.
Okay, thank you.
Now, there may be, and as you know, during like our lunch recess, there still will be the celebratory and ceremonial speeches that go on too. There'll be a relisting of the award winners and possibly even video segments of the awards being there, but that will not be taking place Saturday evening.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I am not
Any other
seeing
questions for your speakers? All right, if anything comes up, you can always reach out to us, and we're happy to help in any way we can.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I might move the agenda around a bit. Dave Thompson just texted me. He has a meeting with a legislator. Dave, do you want to go now with your legislative update since you might have a bit of a conflict?
Yeah, that's fine. Be happy
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. We have a meeting at 2 o'clock with Speaker Brian Cutler to talk about venue and specifically how we may be, we're exploring some options through the PCCJR to possibly do a constitutional amendment to address the issue of venue, anticipating that it's possible that the court could make that venue change at some point. We're not sure, so none of this is really for certain. But I have a 2 o'clock meeting with him, and I kind of didn't want to miss that. Let me just bring you up to date real quick on a couple items of interest. Prior auth, we have a meeting this afternoon, also at 2 o'clock, with our prior auth coalition of folks that includes the patient advocates and what I call the House of Medicine and the providers and hospitals. We are inching, and I say inching, we are inching toward a final version of a bill. There's been a number of roadblocks, largely those raised by the insurance industry. But recently it became abundantly clear to us that both Kim Ward and, more importantly, the sponsor of our bill, Kristen Phillips Hill, are sort of at their last nerve when it comes to the insurers. They're growing tired of how they're vacillating back and forth on issues. Right now, it appears as though the only ones negotiating on behalf of the insurance companies are the integrated systems, and UPMC is largely driving that. Highmark as well is in that process, Geisinger to a lesser degree, but those institutions are trying to come up with language that they can support. Our hope is that we can find something that we like as well. We're trying to obviously check as many boxes as we can check, but certainly if the integrated systems are with us, that will nullify any concerns by the remaining blues and, or more importantly, from the Aetnas and US healthcares. So we're trying to, in essence, split those two factions up, and so far it's been working really well. And Kristen Phillips Hill is has sort of anointed that process. So we'll see where we end up. The patient test results bill, you remember that debacle a couple of years ago, where patients had to be notified by an imaging physician if there was a significant abnormality. We have finally gotten legislation both out of the House and it's in the Senate. We are waiting to get Senator, I'm looking at Dr. Gallagher, getting Senator Brooks, who's the chair of the Senate Health Committee, to move that bill. No one seems to be able to, I don't want to say reach her, but kind of get through to her. Her staff is frustrated. Apparently, a number of her colleagues have called her asking her to move the bill. Obviously, all the interest groups have asked her to move the bill. Really, no one's opposed to it. So we are going to have Wayne Crawford, our newest member of our staff, who has a very close relationship with her over the years. He has reached out to her, and they were going to get together sometime, hopefully in the next week, to talk about that bill. If all else fails, Dr. Gallagher, we're gonna sick you on Senator Brooks, and maybe have a conversation with her if possible.
Hey, David, I'm sorry. Why don't you send me talking points, and I'll start a preliminary discussion.
Yeah, I will do that. So that bill, I mean, again, it is a much better bill. And for legislators who, previously prior to it passing the House thought that we were sort of pulling a fast one on them, it actually expands the individuals who are going to get notifications to everyone. So instead of just a physician having to determine whether or not there's a significant abnormality, which is nearly impossible, everyone is going to get a written notice when they go for an imaging study, aside from an X-ray. So if you go in for a CAT scan, an MRI, a PET scan, et cetera, you will receive a notice at the time the test is done that says, in essence, if you haven't heard from your referring physician in 21 days, you need to reach out to them to get your results. So we think that's a really good thing. That's what we've been pushing for the last year and a half. But again, it finally got some traction. To be perfectly honest, we needed to get rid of a House staffer who had authored the original bill back a couple of years ago. And until she left, she was digging in and we couldn't get a bill out of the House. So we didn't actually get rid of her. She moved on. But in any event, that cleared the way for us to get the bill out of the House. Pharmacy and athletic trainers. It should come as no surprise to you that pharmacists want to continue to do more. They're looking to do childhood immunizations. They want to do COVID and flu vaccines to 3-year-olds and up. In the case of COVID, 5 years old and up, whichever the CDC has approved. Some of those things may be attainable. We are certainly, as PA Med, we are looking to the pediatricians, family medicine, and the internists to really drive this issue. We are certainly backing them up. Possible to maybe extend the flu vaccine down to an age lower than 9 that it currently is at. But I can assure you that doing childhood immunizations is a non-starter. The pediatricians, nor us, or anyone in the provider community will have any thought about that. Pharmacists should not be doing they can't do well visits for infants and toddlers, et cetera. And they certainly should not be doing, all these childhood immunizations. So I think we've got a number of very good arguments to, again, push back on that. I can tell you that the pharmacists are trying to do a little shell game. They're saying things like, well, we stood up and we were there for the COVID vaccine. We did all the vaccinations and there's been no problem. Well, they forget to mention that they were the only ones that had the vaccine, that the Department of Health and the federal government directed in large measure those vaccines to go to pharmacies. So anyway, it's becoming a little bit of a political hot potato, but I can tell you we are stalwart in our resolve to not let them do any kind of well visits or childhood immunizations. That's just not going to happen. Athletic trainers, for those of you who get a little squeamish, you may want to close your ears. Athletic trainers want to do rectal temperatures on athletes. It is kind of an interesting issue when they have a athlete on the field who comes in and they suspect is having a heat stroke. They have to put them in a water ice bath and get their temperature down. Apparently, they feel as though the only way they can appropriately and accurately monitor core body temperature is to do a rectal temperature. And we're sort of kind of at a loss. We have reached out to the emergency physicians to talk about it. So there seems to be a little bit of pushback on that whole theory. The biggest argument that they're using is once they put that individual in an ice bath, reduce their temperature, they cannot, EMS will not transport them to the hospital unless their temperature has reached a certain level, which I believe is 102. That, again, we're getting confirmation on that. We're reaching out to EMS folks to find out if, in fact, that is a regulation that they cannot transport them. I know there's been an instance maybe nationally where someone was transported, an athlete, and ended up dying in the ambulance because they were not at the appropriate temperature before they were transported. But we're getting some clarification on all of that. I think it's safe to say that if the ER physicians are comfortable with athletic trainers doing that, then it's going to have to be specified like that in the legislation, not how it's currently configured in allowing them to do invasive procedures. That opens the door up to all kinds of things, such as removing foreign objects, doing stitches, et cetera, debriding wounds. So that's, that would have to be clarified, but we're not doing anything until we get feedback from the ER physicians and EMS. House Bill 1630, 1630 is a PBM transparency and audit bill. That is something that we do have policy on to do, work on, if you will, shedding some light on PBMs. This is a piece of legislation that would allow the Auditor General to audit PBMs that do work under the Medicaid program. Up to this point, the state does not have the authority to do those audits, and this bill would give them that authority. So we certainly support that wholeheartedly. And that bill did move out of committee in the House, expected to be hopefully considered in the House in the coming weeks, and then we'll see what happens in the Senate. But as far as we're concerned, if it's about PBMs and shining the light on them, I think everything is good to go. I mean, we're supportive of that. Last thing I'll mention, and of course, if you guys have any questions about anything else that I don't cover, is the restricted covenant bill. As you all know, it flew out of committee last year, went through second consideration, came out of the Appropriations Committee in the House, and then hit a brick wall. That brick wall was HAP waking up and realizing what we had done, and we had done it too quickly. And they immediately started opposing it and raising a lot of issues and concerns. That bill is still up against that brick wall, and I'm not going to give any indication that we think we can get it out of the House. But what I can tell you is it continues to be talked about. Zach has a meeting coming up with a number of a couple physicians from, I think it's North Central Pennsylvania, up around Frackville. I don't know if that's North Central, but they're coming down. They happen to be two new members of PA Med. They're coming down to meet with us and the sponsor of the bill, who is Torrin Ecker. And Torrin is arranging to have a couple, what I would consider to be high-level meetings. One with a senator, Dave Argel, from that same area up near Frackville, and also with Leader Carrie Benninghoff in the House. So, you know, I'm not sure that we have the votes in the House. They have this weird rule now in the House on the Republican side that unless there's the majority of the majority to move something, they want the Republican caucus to be in lockstep when they move items. And we're hearing from Carrie Benninghoff that we don't have enough votes, meaning we don't have the majority of that majority in the caucus to move this forward. But having said that, we're still pushing. And I think we're probably going to do, I'll call it a light call to action, because I don't want to elevate it to the point where letting physicians think that we're actually going to succeed in something. But I think it's important for them to reach out to their House members to encourage them to do something about restricted covenants. So with that, I will take any questions anyone has. The last item, however, I always have a last item, and that is PAMPAC. We are dangerously low in PAMPAC funds. It's to the point where we are at numbers in an election year that are not very good. We really need, part of that's on us. We need to get out there and start more heavily soliciting for PAMPAC. But for all of you in your travels as in the counties, whatever you can do to help push PAMPAC membership, we would greatly appreciate it. We really don't want to go into the fall with the balance we have in our account now. I'm not suggesting we will, but it's important. We really need to raise some money. Any questions? Nada?
Hey, David, this is Dave McKagan.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can send us that would help us to solicit PAMPAC contributions, whether it be something that's nice and camera ready for our magazines or something we could attach to other emails that are already going out? Talking points, anything you want to send us.
You know what, Dave? I appreciate that. And I don't know that we have anything. Well, we do have something that is camera ready. Let me check with Tom in our graphic arts area, see if he can take what we used as a flyer for our leadership positions and kind of reconfigure it. And maybe it's something you guys could put in emails to your members and or your monthly bulletins or your newsletters. So yeah, but thanks for that suggestion. That's a good one. I will get that out to everyone. If not, I know Dr. Balaban and Dr. Gallagher have agreed to make up the difference in what we need for the fall and what we have currently. So thank you guys, appreciate that.
I think I was
on a fixed budget. Dr. Balaban has the contacts.
I think it's got
sure.
I think
Sure.
you Gallagher, yeah, Gallagher.
Yeah, the old retired fixed income thing, sure.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? Nada? All right,
Wow,
thanks guys.
Thank you, Dave. We have a quiet bunch today. Moving right along, we have Lauren Till with us. The dues input form has been on the share site for a while, but we have not had a chance to physically demonstrate it, and I wanted to make sure we did that. So Lauren is with us today to just walk through that quickly. There is a kind of a cheat sheet there on the share site as well to help you. But Lauren, if you could walk us through that, that would be good.
All right. Good evening. Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know what time it is. Good afternoon, everyone. I have been at it again. I have created another tool for all of you to easily provide information and connect with the membership team here on the PA Med side. On the county share site, we have added a link for the 2023 county dues and special status update. When you click into here, you will be asked for your PA Med website username and password. If you do not know your username and password, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll help you get logged in and set up. But once you're past the login, you will see the traditional portal screen. We've used this now for several different things. And so we are using this again for the dues submission. You will find the dues submission under my judging assignments here along the left. And when you click into my judging assignments, I have several different things that I test on, but you will see the county 2023 dues and special status. Your number pending will be dependent upon how many counties that you have been selected to provide information for. So this is the landing page for the dues and special status. If you wish to see what other counties are charging in 2022, you can find all of that information on the PAMedSoc.org/county page of the website. I also want to acknowledge that all of this is due by Friday, July 1st. So you do have some time to come in. If you have more than one county, they will be listed here. So my example today will be for PA Med, but your county will be listed here as well as any other additional counties. You can either click on the name or view application. It takes you into the same place. But this is the submission portal for County 2023 dues and special status. When you come in, we are actually showing you what your dues rates were for the last dues cycle. And then what we're asking is this the same, yes or no? So county active/full rate was $349 for PA Med. If this is staying the same, you'll say yes. If for some reason you are changing this, you will say no. And then over here on the right, you will type in what your rate is and what you're changing it to. You can just easily copy the field and just say, you know, 350. But it is a yes, no question. So you'll just go through and hit yes, no for any of the rates that we have for membership. And when you get to the bottom, there's actual special box here that has to do with any individuals that had been identified as special status. If somebody had been identified as special status, they will be listed here with what the status was. So for instance, special status 25% off full rate, it'll have their active account number and then their name. And again, it will be a yes, no. If you have more than one person in special status, they will be listed individually. So it'll be like name, name, name. And again, you choose yes or no. If you are selecting no, again, we just ask, what is your reasoning or what is your change over here in the change box? It could be, you know, go back to full rate or different special status for whatever you're adjusting. Not all counties have special status individuals. If you do not have any special status individuals, this will actually just remain blank for you and you will have no action to take. I do want to make note that you cannot come and go. You are required to come in and fill in yes or no for all of them at the same time. So you'll be required to come in, hit yes or no based on your previous dues from the last dues cycle. Select yes or no for all of these, as well as any special status that are listed before you can hit save and back to list. If you were to leave prior to filling out any yes or no, it will lose any of your previous changes. So I just wanted to make note of that you are going to want to, when you're ready to do this, just come in. Optimistically, it should be easy because we are reflecting for you what you did last year, so you shouldn't have to look it up. And just let us know if you are marking it as no, what is the change and what you're identifying it over here on the right. So again, if you cancel and go back, it will not save your changes unless you've filled everything out. And once you have filled everything out, you can hit save and back to list. If you had another county that you were submitting dues on, it will actually allow you to go into the next county. It would say save and next and take you into your next instance so you can do them all at once. So not hard, just a couple clicks, and hopefully because we're displaying previous year information for you, we make it a easy resource for you to just come in, make your changes, save it, and move forward. So again, you have until July 1st to submit these changes. And if you have any questions or if you have any problems or can't log in to access it, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. So any questions for this? Doug, is your hand up for me?
Lauren, did you say that our special status members, if we have them, would be listed in that box?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So if you had special status previous years that impacts rate changes, they will be listed here.
Okay, thank you.
I think if they were listed as free, they might not be here. I think it only impacts those with actual rates, if I'm remembering correctly. But yes, they will be listed individually, and you will just say yes or no if we were to continue special status.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
The statement, Lauren, this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, TJ. Okay, well, I hope everybody has a nice holiday weekend, and I'm sure I'll see you in the next time.
Sorry, I was talking and I was muted. You will see us next time, Lauren, because you will be with us on May 3rd to walk through the delegate submission process. Yet another thing that you have built for us. So yes, we will welcome Lauren again back in just a few weeks.
All right, looking forward to it. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. The next item, moving right along, everybody's going to get the whole afternoon off. We are going to move on to the CME project that TJ and Robin have been working on. And TJ, I think you are the individual who's going to provide the group an update.
I am. Is there any way I can get control?
We are not giving you control, TJ. No,
I don't
way.
blame you. That's why I asked for this
way.
moment. No.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Thanks.
I just got to find you. Are you good now, TJ?
Not sure. Am I in control here? Can people, if I put this up, does people see this?
Nothing yet. Did you hit
Okay.
share screen?
Got it. Hold on.
There
Here
we
we
go.
go.
It's coming.
Thanks. Okay. Give me 1 second here. So now what do I do? Everyone sees a buffalo? Okay, great. All right. So everyone knows we were really working on trying to make a virtual CME program, and my screen's not letting me do this, of course. Okay, can everyone? I love technology. Okay, so just wanted to go through some of the things that everyone, that we came up with, Robin and I, in trying to come up with the virtual CME program. I also have 2 kids playing Nerf guns right below me, so I apologize if you hear any screaming or anything. It's them. So what we were trying to do, obviously, is trying to create instant value, tangible benefits for something that is already a known and successful quantity, which is our CME activities. So we've already kind of gone through this, but this is kind of the objectives we had. Streamline work on both county and PA Med staff. Give me 1 moment, guys. Hey, guys. Take it to the basement. I'm doing a project right now. That was great. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. And basically creating a collaboration between all of our counties. So that was kind of the setup for this. But this is what we're building. We'd like to create, and we want to create basically a new CME content released monthly throughout the calendar year. No charges or fees for county execs or county societies. Open for non-member, counties that are open for events has to be through member-only programs. Counties will not be charged CME fees. For if the event is for PA Med members only. Counties wishing to hold live in-person events will be responsible for the costs, venue, food, but the rest of it will basically be covered under this program. PA Med will assist with basically the recording, presentation, faculty communication. PA Med staff will also participate in activity planning. We'll touch on that through an activity planning committee. A couple slides down the road, I'll go through that too. The big part again is that we'll be able to have $2,500 for an honorarium and content development. And again, this isn't this, if counties that don't want to participate don't have to, but again, that's something we'll talk later. This is kind of the nuts and bolts of some of the eligibility. The big thing is each county is allowed to submit 2 because PA Med is going to have to redirect some of its resources to allow some more flexibility. So any county submitting more than 2 member-only CME applications or opening events or non-members will be charged the regular joint sponsorship rate, which is what we've always been doing. And again, these are options that I just want to say that if you don't want to participate or don't want to do a CME, you don't have to. But again, we are trying to do 12 in a row. Doug, is your hand up from before? Or
I'm sorry, I guess it did.
Okay.
Trying to get there.
Give me 1 second. I love vacations. Okay, so the leadership component of this is how we're going to be kind of generating and creating which of these which CME programs we're going to be doing. As you can see on this list, what we're going to be looking at is 1 PA Med board member, 3 county physicians or staff from staffed or unstaffed counties, and 3 county executives. The whole idea is to create as a diverse panel as possible for approval of this. We're hoping to have a rolling over of a couple, each year a new county, 3 new county execs come in. And each year we try to move everything around so everyone has the opportunity to generate and look at what material should be approved. Lastly, again, the role of the committees is to identify the content, propose format for the year, find faculty and content development, determine location for in-person CME events, and estimate the costs. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible for everybody as well. And again, the key word that I keep using over and over is, this is going to be a collaborative program that, again, I'm confident is going to generate, again, I think more value to potential members and create more opportunities for each county. I'm going to own up and say that was one of my most disheveled events that I just did here. But if anyone has any questions, I can try to work through it a little bit better. Sorry.
And just to add, TJ, we do have that we can share. We do have a document that kind of summarizes everything
Right.
that TJ went over. So Claire, I can send that to you, and then you can send that out to everyone. That has all of that information in it.
Any questions? Anything?
TJ, I just want to say thank you for, one, bringing this to our attention and working with us. I know, it took a little while, but I think this is a really good joint program and will benefit us all. And again, we rely on you guys to, help us come up with ideas. And so I just wanted to say thank you for the effort and then for sticking with us and the back and forth. I mean, it was a lot of time that you and Robin put into this.
Oh, no, absolutely. I just love the fact that, this was able to get going. And I still think when it comes to, this is something where we will be able to generate, further value and attract more members, moving forward. So I'm just excited we're going to get this ball rolling.
just curious, do other folks feel that we're on the right track with this? I mean,
I can certainly forward if anyone wants that PowerPoint, because, you know, that was a little nuts and I apologize, but at least gives all the finer points to it. If you would like that for your members to go through as well, if you would like to present that to your boards. Beth has her hand up, I believe.
Yeah, thank you for taking the lead on this. I appreciate it. And what is timing looking like? When do you hope to get off the ground? When are you working to recruit your committee members? And then I guess a part two, is this at all tied into what we had talked about with potential articles for the magazines?
So from what my understanding of this is, we're aiming for fall of this year. Robin, does that sound still feasible? That's kind of what we're looking for. I think we don't want to rush a lot of this. We want to get the right people, finances, all that in there. So my guess is we will be trying to get this in the fall. Once we really have the boards or anything, I would like to actually start at least letting members know that this is going to be happening. So people, you know, they can make that choice moving in the fall for, you know, dues and try to use that as a kind of recruiting tool. So that would be the first portion of it. Second, we were talking about doing the articles in the magazine as well. We can kind of generate those as part of this program, I believe. But I think that's something when we have this board put together in this committee that might be further, you know, that can further take shape. You know, that I think having this committee first and getting a clear vision of what we're going to be able to provide, I think that magazine article, you know, can be part of it too.
And TJ, just to add to that, this is going to go to my board at our May board meeting. So that's one of the steps as well. I don't see any problems with it. I just wanted the group to know that the final approval on our end will be our May board meeting.
Excuse me. If we want to plan a CME, do we go through the same channels that we always have? And how do we know? I mean, is you know, if I'm planning a CME in the fall, does it go through this program that anybody can attend, or?
so it will depend, and I know that is not a good answer. The committee will establish the topics. Now, this year will be a little bit different because they won't be establishing for the whole year. They'll just be establishing for, you know, the last several months. But the committee will establish the topics for the last several months. And if there is someone who wants to host the event, and the event does not have to be live. So when I'm saying event, I don't mean live event. You know, it can be webinar, it can be whatever. On that topic, it would come through this process. If a county does not want to sign an agreement to participate in the collaboration project, or they are part of the collaboration project, but they want to do a CME event that is not one of the topics that the committee has laid out, they'll get 2 CME events per year that would go through the normal CME process that you utilize now. And those would be 2 member-only CME events through the process that you use currently for CME.
Yeah. For instance, if you're using a CME as a money-making tool for your society and would want to charge everyone as, you know, as part of that generated if they're members or not, you know, you don't have to use that CME, go through and use the free CME portion of it. You have that option. But if you want to, you know, use this program, it'd have to be free for members. So it gives us a little bit more flexibility if we're doing a CME for the benefit of, the finances of our society, we don't have to do that. You have to go use this option.
So normally when things were in person, if I did a CME, I would not charge for any of my members to attend it, even if there was a dinner. And I've worked with Doug in the past quite frequently, actually. And I pay for members from Lehigh, he pays for members from Northampton. I mean, if it was live and say Bucks County members wanted to attend, would Bucks County pay for their members, or would I still have to pay for their members?
You could, if you were doing it through the collaboration process, whatever county hosted it, you would get $2,500 to help with the cost of the content development, the speaker honorarium, speaker travel, that type of thing. All of the cost for attendees would be, and venue would be the responsibility of the host county. Now, how you work that out, if you had multiple counties hosting, and you co-hosted and you split those costs, that would be fine. Now, the other thing that you can do is you are permitted to have sponsors and exhibitors, and you can charge them, and you can use those fees to offset any costs that you may incur. Now, if you didn't want to go through the collaboration process and you just wanted to do like you normally did in your CME process, you could still do that with your two CME events per year that you would get outside of the collaboration.
Sorry to have so many questions. I just have one other one. I mean, I don't know when this panel will start, but I mean, now I would have to start planning things for the fall anyway. If I plan something and this panel decided I like that topic, is that something that could then fall into that? Or, I mean,
I won't answer that definitively either way. I would say it's possible, but ideally we would like them to look at topics. They're gonna start with topics and then go from there. So it's possible that they may come up with a topic and have that topic slated for December. Hypothetically, they're looking at workplace violence. I don't know, I just made that up, for December. And you have something scheduled on workplace violence for December. They may look at what you already have scheduled and say, you know what, we like that. We like the content, we like the presenter, we like everything that he's already put together. Let's use that one. And in which case, then if you had incurred any expense with your presenter, with content development, all of that kind of stuff, then that $2,500 would be applied to offset those costs. But don't stop planning your CME as you normally would for the remainder of the year. Continue with your CME planning as you would throughout the year, because we still have to get, as Marty said, this goes to the board meeting, then we still have to get the committee in place. So I don't want folks to just sit and wait until we get the committee in place, till we see what their topic list is going to look like for the rest of the year. Just continue your business as usual. And then, once we have a solid committee, we know when the start date is, then we can move forward. But for right now, just keep doing what you normally would do.
Robin, you have a couple of hands up there, or TJ.
I thought Mark's was up first.
Okay, just TJ, thank you for putting this together. Really appreciate it. It sounds conceptually like a great idea. I'm sure that Philly supports it. Robin, you did a great job of trying to explain something that we haven't seen, like the guidelines. So it's all good. As Marty goes to the board, I wanted to sort of say that Philly sort of is involved. We'll support it. We think that's important to offer a whole host of CMEs, and in addition to what we do already are doing or will continue to try to do. So thanks again. I know it's not an easy task. And then whatever, I know that I was charged, or there was a conversation that I had with Hoffman Publishing about their interest about putting together a CME, like when we do our monthly or quarterly publications, they are all for it. So we'd have to figure out the devil's in the detail of how that works, how many articles would be put in, and then the other filler that your counties would basically be putting in there, some feature articles on your leadership or whatever it would be. So, but again, thank you. Thanks for putting this together and your due diligence on this. That's it.
Thank you, Mark.
Go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, I thought I understood, and then maybe after Robin started talking, I got a little confused. So are you suggesting, when you first started talking, I thought there might be 2 or 3 themes throughout the year that you were hoping to hit on, but then now I'm thinking you're saying the month of August is a particular topic, and that's the only CME that would be done during that month under this collaborative? And if that's the case, how early would we know that? And if nobody has something for that particular topic, that particular month, what happens? Like, I guess I just need a little bit more fleshed out.
So the committee will establish the calendar. Probably this year is going to be a little bit different because they're starting towards the end of the year. So let's kind of put 2022 to the side. So for 2023, they're going to establish the 12 topics for the year, okay? And most likely they will establish those at the end of 2022. And my guess is they'll probably either do them a quarter at a time or 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
And so they'll put out and say, okay, for January, the topic is this, February, it's this, March, April. There will be one CME event per the collaboration every month. So there'll be one CME event with that $2,500, one host county for that event per month. There will still have, counties will still have those 2 CME events a year to do other CME, 2 free CME applications a year to do other CME with. When those topics are established, that will go out to the counties. And we'll say, here are the topics for the first 4 months, for the first 6 months of 2023. We're looking for host counties for these topics in these months. Now, if we can't get a county to host, then PA Med may have to pick up that topic for that month. So there will at least be 12 different CME topics a year for all PA Med members. In addition to what PA Med does separately. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Okay, moving on at lightning speed, we are now up to our opioid discussion that we did have a separate meeting And I sent out, and I'm going to share my screen as well. I sent out a summary of the ideas that had come up during that discussion. And also everybody said, you know, they would think more on it and think, you know, about the ideas that were discussed and if there were more ideas. So I wanted to share those ideas and see if, since that discussion, I know several of you said, you know, hey, I'm going to think more about it too and come back. Is there anything else you'd like added to the potential next steps, or anything particularly on this list that you would like to discuss or highlight, or hey, that one is much more important than the other ones?
Now, Claire, to me, I think this is really the entire conversation we had. I think it's good. I think moving forward, you know, these are the right steps to take. Does anyone else have any other feedback regarding this?
The only comment I would make, based on the talks that I've done and the feedback I've gotten, is tying in with the warm handoff. If we could find some way to increase awareness in the different counties, I'm sure it varies with the county, of the role of the single county authorities and the way the local societies can interact with them and the healthcare institutions to help the handoff program that's going on. And there's a lot of resources out there. Some SCAs probably could use more help and support to get the job done. I know most of the physicians I'm talking to and the other providers really have no idea how to work with their single county authorities.
Are you saying, Dr. Gallagher, are you saying single county authorities?
Right, the single county authority, the person in each county that is the point person or organization that works on referrals and care within that area for substance abuse.
Like the county drug and alcohol office.
Right, well,
But they're not all
be
counties.
alcohol, but most of them are outsourced to other behavioral health organizations, individuals, some are primary healthcare network centers. There's different, but each county has an SCA that's listed on the State Department of Health website.
And that's all of the SCAs, Claire, are on the opioid resource landing page.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was taking notes with the appropriate wording, since this is not my territory.
And I do have all of the information that you guys had emailed to me. I have not yet had the opportunity to get that all together in a more usable format to get it or to get it over to IT to get included on the opioid resources page, but I'm still working on that. So we will get that stuff put together as well. So thank you to everyone who shared those resources. If any of you who were not part of the discussion have any resources regarding warm handoffs or anything else that's going on within your county that you would like to share that may be beneficial for other counties, you know, please get it to Claire or I, and we're trying to get that all compiled and add that to the new opioid resource landing page that we recently launched.
Have you guys had a chance to look at that page?
Where is it located?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Where is it located? Is it on the county share site or?
No, it's on PA Med's website. I will, once I stop sharing my screen, or Robin, you could put it, I'll put the URL in the chat. Is there anything anybody wishes to add to these next steps? before we move on? I can't see you, so please feel free to just jump in. Or I can't see everybody. Okay. Then we just a few more things. So you all would have received the invite for our June 27th, 28th fingers and toes crossed in-person meeting. It will be our first in-person meeting at the office, and hopefully the COVID numbers stop moving. The plan is for the evening of the 27th to have a reception at the office and also provide a little bit of a tour of the office. And then on the 28th, we will talk about 3 topics and also invite some of our member physicians to come and talk to us about those 3 topics. We'll continue our discussion with the opioid epidemic, talk about physician suicide, physician wellness, and also diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that is the plan for the 28th. We will send out several reminders. So if you missed the link the first time, be assured that you will get it at least 5 more times. So please don't worry if you missed it. Plenty of time to sign up. PA Med will reimburse for the hotel room. There's a link on the invite for the hotel that's next door to the office to stay so that you can come for the reception and stay for the next day. So that's a reminder. And then on May 3rd, our next regular prioritization meeting, we will do some planning for the Physician Suicide Awareness Day, which is in September. Several of you worked with us last year, and that was really went very well. And we had a lot of engagement on our social networks. We are going to be more planned this year. We didn't have a ton of time last year. So we've already started planning for next year, and we'll have Samantha with us on May 3rd to continue that planning. And then we will also, as I mentioned, Lauren will walk through the delegate submission process. It will be very similar, same program as last year, just increased, did a little bit of improvements to it with your feedback. So we just wanted to make sure visually we walked through that with you and you had a chance to see that. And a couple of membership things, or well, before I move on, is there any questions about the May 3rd meeting or the June 27th, 28th meeting? Okay. I wanted to just provide a couple of quick things from the membership area. We are doing a project to increase our, and we did it last year, this is the second year, it's very successful, where we're doing a campaign to increase the information that we have for practice managers. As you all know, they are a wonderful help in recruiting members, keeping members, getting invoices paid, etc. So you would have seen the emails because we do share those with you, but I just wanted to share that we've received 139 names for practice managers since we started that, which I think is very exciting because they are really the window to the practice. So we are in the process of updating that in our database. And then the other thing I wanted to share, some of you had inquired, and I just want to make sure we close the loop about the decrease in residents and students of your rosters. So this year was the first year that we asked them to renew, and by renew, we ask them to update their information. And there are a few counties who charge. So if they are charged, they went through the typical invoicing process that any member that's charged would. But if they were free in your county, they were asked to renew and went through a free renewal process. As we expected, quite a few chose not to go through the process, or the other issue being we had no good information for them. Because of the past processes of rolling students over to students or students into residency, a lot of those folks just simply didn't know they were members or remember that they were members, so we didn't have good information for them to even ask them to renew. But the ones that we had mailing addresses, good mailing addresses or good email addresses, we reached out to several times. So I just wanted to share that I want to make sure everybody understood that process. It was a new process and we did get several questions. I will also put on the share site some statistics on the emails that were sent. Unfortunately or unfortunately, students and residents, the bulk of them, I believe, knew they needed to renew. And by the email stats, we saw that quite a few chose not to renew. They opened the emails, but then they did not choose to click in and renew. So I will put that information on the county share site for you all to see. The other thing I wanted to mention with membership is we did do our termination survey. The bulk of the responses were that I'm retired. So we did reach out to all of those that said they were retired. We got several to return to us in the retired status and had them renew. We did respond to almost everybody. There were a few that honestly I didn't feel like there was a good reason to respond to them. But most of them we responded to. Katie and Janet reached out to anybody that seemed appropriate to have a conversation with and asked for a conversation. So if you would like your counties, I'm not putting the whole thing on the share site because it lists everybody, but I'm happy to send you your county's information. If you would like that, just please send me an email so that I can respond to that and not lose that. TJ?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you had this data or even asked, but out of all those retirements, do we know how many of those were early retirements, kind of premature retirements?
We could look at their age. Nobody, I don't think anybody in those surveys said I am retiring early. But certainly we could report on the age of those who told us they were retiring.
Yeah, I just kind of am tying that to some of the burnout and some of the things I'm seeing in Berks, where I'm wondering if this isn't something we should be looking at on a whole. So I don't know if you have that data, that's great. I mean, it's asking post the fact, so I apologize, but it's certainly, I feel worth looking into.
I can certainly let you know the age. Now, I mean, doctors generally seem to retire at, it seems quite varied. So you would have to use your own judgment if you thought they retired early or not, but certainly we can give you the age of those who told us that they were retiring.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I'm just making myself a note. Is there anything, I mean, we are done so early. Is there anything, oh, Robin, did Robin go? No, Robin's here. Did you want to mention your WPS program?
Yes, please. And I apologize for turning my camera on and off, but I'm having internet bandwidth issues, so it's much easier if I keep it turned off. we will be hosting, the WPS will be hosting Dr. Julie McCrae from Christiana Care in Delaware on May 11th. She's going to be speaking on work-life balance. And it's going to be at 7 p.m. It's going to be virtual via Zoom. And we did get the event approved for CME. And we do have Claire also, well, I think Claire, you have the flyer, so you can share the flyer with the counties as well. If you want to advertise with your members, it's open to all PA Med members. It's not just a WPS Governing Council thing. Any PA Med member is able to join. They do have to register. And there are some counties who are going to do some networking type events prior to the speaker event. And the only thing we ask with those counties, they're going to do their events and then kind of do the speaker event as a watch party. The only thing we ask is that everyone still register for the webinar individually, because that's how they will get their link to be able to claim their CME credit. And also, if for whatever reason they wouldn't be able to attend your networking event, they would still be able to, at home or wherever they are, participate on the webinar if they weren't able to be at your watch party. So we do ask that they do register directly through the link that is on the flyer for the webinar. But we're really excited to have her. It will be about an hour presentation with questions and answers, give or take. And if you have any questions about it, please don't hesitate to reach out and I will do my best to answer them for you. Beth?
Yeah, just anticipating we have people that won't follow directions. I know that only happens in my county, but if they don't register in advance, can we do a cleanup afterwards saying, hey, here's 5 people that were here that, said they didn't register, that we can get them in so they have their CME?
The challenge is I have to submit the attendance record in order, because the attendance record is what they use for let me figure that one out. I will figure that one out and get back to you, because yes, you're absolutely right. It will happen. So let me figure that one out. And what we may do for, I'm thinking off the top of my head, the easiest thing we may do for those of you who are doing the watch parties, have a sign-in event or have a sign-in sheet with their name and their email address. And then you can just scan me, your sign-in sheet, your attendance sheet. And then that way I'll run it against the registration list. If they're not in there, we can just add their email address and we can go that way. But yeah, I will double check and let you know, but I'm thinking, just without putting a lot of thought in it, I'm thinking that might be the best way to go.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you. And is there anything else any other questions or thoughts before I give you the whole afternoon off? You don't have to tell anybody. You can tell them you were with me all afternoon. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope everybody has a great holiday weekend and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.